as we go along and everything. So um, anyway, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 15th National Santa webinar. Sorry I missed you last week, but a lot of changes going on down here in this world, so I had to take an evening off. Tonight, our subject is how to improve your gig salad listing, and we've got returning as my guest and co-host, Megan Price, the Director of Customer Experiences at Gig Salad. And hello, Megan.
Hello, I'm glad to be back.
I see Santas out there clapping their hands and smiling. And of course, Gig Salad is one of America's top talent booking services. They booked over 40,000 gigs last year, and many Santas, including myself, have used Gig Salad as a means of finding additional work on top of whatever we do with our own marketing. So it's been a very viable asset, and it's paid for itself. So that's one thing I always like. Now, before I get into having Megan talk to you and tell you a little bit about improving your Gig Salad listing, I wanted to remind everybody that I have been doing these webinars now for the last couple months, and they were on Tuesday nights. I may do one or two more, but those will be special announcements. I do owe everybody one webinar, and that's the one I was supposed to do last week, which was on posing techniques for in this time of social distancing and COVID-19. So I will do that, but I don't know how soon I'll be able to get that put together and get it online. But keep an eye on your emails, and you'll get a notice when I am going to do that. In the meantime, all of these Zoom webinars have been recorded. They are available on YouTube. And if you go to my website, nationalsanta.com, click on the link to webinars, all the information is there on how to find those different webinars. And I've even tried to put down the subject of each webinar. So if there's a particular subject you're looking for, you can just go right to that item, click on it. It'll take you right to the YouTube webinar that we recorded. And so that's how we've got it. Okay, with that out of the way, I want to get started. And I first connected with Megan just prior to the 2016 Discover Santa 216 convention. And we were hoping to have Gig Salad at the convention. And we thought it was going to be logical because where are you based?
Springfield, Missouri.
In Missouri, yes. And where was our convention?
Branson.
Yeah, so we thought we were going to have you there. She has been to a few other conventions and Santa gatherings since then. But of course, the business with Santa is one of the largest categories. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are a lot of other entertainers that are booked via Gig Salad, but the Santas are a very special group, and it's a very large group, especially when it comes to the holiday season. So anyway, I always thought of myself as good with my self-marketing and promotion. You know, I'm a bit of a peacock and do a little strutting around, and I've got a whole bunch of websites, so I'm always doing stuff. But 6 years ago, I moved from LA to New York and had to do some new cultivating to build up a new clientele, because some of my Los Angeles clients I wasn't able to service anymore. So I basically started booking other Santas to take those bookings and started looking for new work here in New York. And Gig Salad was one of the operations that I used to find extra work. And it worked out very, very well. And, you know, so I use it. And I think a lot of other Santas the same way. It's a little different here in New York than it is in other cities because we do charge a bit more. But other than that, it's the same thing. And Megan has been looking at some websites and things like that. And so she's going to be trying to help some of you. But I don't know if we have anybody new out there. And Megan, before we get started, I was wondering, could you maybe answer just one little question?
Of course.
Oh, good. Okay. What is Gig Salad and how does it work?
So you mentioned marketing yourself. So Gig Salad is just another way to market yourself. If you know much about the internet, whenever you're Googling something, you'll see listings, you know, your search results are coming up. So Gig Salad's been around about 13 years now, and we've worked really hard to get to the top of the search results. So whenever you create a Gig Salad profile, you're likely going to be found through Google. Someone will click your profile, then they can look at all of your media, they can look at your pricing, they can see how many bookings you've had, how many reviews you have. So it's basically a live business card, you might think of it that way. They can contact you there to get a free quote. You can send them a contract. They can make payment on the site and we'll forward payment to you. So it's all done on the secure platform. So it's basically a one-stop shop for gigging is kind of what we like to say. But
Okay. And I don't know, does anybody have any questions about that for Megan? I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to have you hold your questions and we'll let you ask those when we get near the end. Okay. We'll have probably a little time at the end and invite you at that time to ask any questions you can. I noticed that in some of the names we have on the chat room, you know, as part of this, some of you do not have your own name there, and I do really need to have your name as Santa or Mrs. Claus. Who are you? And not a code name or some secret name or something like that. So if you can go in and change your name and put down your real name, I would appreciate that very, very much. Okay. At this time, I guess I'm really going to turn it over to Megan and let her talk to you about improving your site. And she's got a couple Santas who are suckers, I mean volunteers, and she's going to help talk about how to help their websites and things like that. So Megan, it is all yours.
all right. So I did spend a little time going through Gig Salad and I pulled out a few really great examples and then a few not so great, but those Santas have been anonymized, so you won't be able to tell who they were, but the good ones will tell you. You might recognize yourself or one of your friends. And then we do have 3 volunteers who are okay with sharing their identity, and we'll go through a live profile consultation with them. So let me just share my screen here. Can everybody see the slides?
Let's see, you should be able to do it there.
No.
I did set you up.
Let's see.
Okay.
Nothing.
Do you see put your best big?
There we go. We got it.
All right. So I kind of like puns, and so I kind of named it a silly name, but okay, so this will go pretty quickly. I'm trying not to be too obvious, but I know sometimes we get too close to the project and you may not see what you could improve. So we're going to talk about your media, your overview, reviews, and then I really want to draw attention to one of our newer tools that might help you this coming season. So we'll talk about that too. Okay, so first we'll talk about the media. I know the tendency is to just load as many pictures as you have on your profile, and while pictures are extremely important, we usually advise that you stay between 3 to 10. People are really, their attention span is so short anymore that you got to grab them in the first couple pictures. So, and if you have too many, then they kind of start, okay, what's going on here? So we usually suggest you stay between 3 to 10 photos. If you have video, that's great. You don't have to have it to have a successful profile, but of course it's always good to have that. And of course you want to display an assortment of your services and your personality. Every Santa that I've talked to is different. You guys all have a different spark that makes you stand out from the competition. So just embrace that in your media and show the different things that you do. Do you read? Do you sing? Pass out gifts is kind of an obvious one. And of course, interacting with children is important, but a lot of adults like me really love Santa too. So it can be fun to show yourself at, maybe a holiday party or a family gathering with adults too. So of course, your profile photo is the most important one. That's the thing that they're going to see in the search results. That's what they're going to see when you're responding to a quote. So make sure that those are well lit and clear. And secondly, Gig Salad's a little different. We crop our pictures in a circle. So I try and fix these when I come across them, but you might be sure to view your own promo kit. If you go in your upper right corner and click view promo kit, you can see what the public sees. And sometimes Santas or other performers have accidentally cropped themselves out of the picture. So all you're seeing is a big belly or a big belt buckle. So you might just take a minute and make sure that you haven't cropped your head out of the picture. And that's an easy fix by just going back in and editing your profile photo. One thing I saw a lot, and granted I was only looking at Santas this week, but this happens in all categories. There are a lot of fuzzy or low quality or outdated photos. So we all have that picture of ourselves that we really love. Mine's from like 10 years ago that I still like to use as my profile photo, but that's not what I look like anymore. So be sure that your clients aren't surprised when they have this old photo of you and what you look like now is the person that shows up. You just want to make sure that there's no surprises and you're absolutely representing what your client is going to get at their party. I know filters are another fun thing that everyone likes to experiment with, but sometimes overdoing that can take away from what you actually look like and take away from the reality of your handsome face. So I kind of mentioned including a portrait shot, kind of more of an up close, just something, again, whenever someone's booking something online, it can be difficult to figure out what they're actually getting. So the more clear images you can give them, the better for both you and your client. So these are some Santas that I pulled from Gig Salad that I think are really great examples. They're very clear photos, they're very colorful, they're very high quality, high definition, and some may be professional, but the one here on the left maybe looks like it was taken at home, and it's still a really great picture. So with technology today, with smartphones and apps and all these different things, there's really no excuse to not have a great picture, and we'll kind of go into more of that in a few minutes. But so I'll leave this up for a second just to take a look at these really great photos of Santas. And if it's you, nice job. And these aren't the only great ones, of course, but I just grabbed a few. So I took one of the great ones and kind of added some effects just to give you an idea of what I was talking about earlier. So the far left is the heavy filter. That's where we're trying to make it look really artsy and cool, but you're also kind of losing a bit of the realism and greatness that this Santa has. This second one might look a little like nobody has a picture like that that's that blurry, but there are lots of pictures like that on Gig Salad that are very blurry. So be sure to go through and just take those out if you have those on your profile. Another thing, I don't know how many people use photo editing apps and things like that, but adding effects like a paint effect or something like that to kind of make it look cool, again, it's just too much. And then of course, great lighting is always key with good photos. So the last one is just an example of too dark where the picture, you just can't quite see it all. So taking photos at home doesn't have to be, you don't have to hire a professional, but that being said, I think we almost all know a photographer, and it wouldn't hurt to invest a little bit in some great photos, especially if this is how you're making a living. But if you're taking them at home, these are just a few tips that we have. So a neutral background, unless you have a really great Santa set. I know some of you guys were talking about that earlier, that you have a great set, and of course, please use that too. Light is kind of the key when you're taking pictures at home. Nothing makes a picture blurry or pixelated faster than being in a dark room. So if you can get plenty of light, go outside and use the golden hour, which is kind of the couple hours right before the sun sets. That makes everybody look great. And then if you have a newer phone, you probably have a portrait mode. If you need help with that, I'm sure you've all got a grandkid or a niece or a nephew or someone that can help you figure that one out. But there's all kinds of modes now on these smartphones that'll make your kind of focus on your face and blur out the background, just kind of give that really professional look. When you're doing your portrait shot, just remember school pictures. You know, the 3/4 turn is very flattering, and kind of stick with the waist up, and then, you know, you can add some other shots too. But I really think those portrait shots really help the Santa profiles look great. And like I said, if you need help with your phone, I mean, kids today are on their phones all the time, so they all know how to do these photos, so just ask them for help. So high quality videos, of course, again, good lighting. And this is kind of important right now too, because while everything is kind of shifting to maybe virtual or just doing FaceTime and that kind of thing, it might be a good time to familiarize yourself with video equipment. And it's a little bit tough to get that right now, or it was a few weeks ago. Getting a nice webcam that isn't too expensive, or even just a separate microphone, can really help with your videos, because audio is the thing that'll make things better or worse. It'll help the experience with your clients. If you have really bad audio, that kind of plummets the whole experience. So if you can at least invest in a great inexpensive microphone, that'll help your videos a lot. And again, clean neutral background unless you have a set. And by that I mean, if you have an interesting background like a brick wall, or maybe you have a cool wooden feature on a wall or something, you know, where it's just a clean, doesn't have to necessarily mean plain white, just something that's neutral but interesting is a great option there. Video length, like I said earlier, we all know attention spans are very short. So you might have a lot to say, but try and get it down to where you are sticking between 30 seconds and a minute. I don't know that I would even go as high as a minute, but if you have a lot to say, you can try that. I would aim for 30 seconds if it were me. Just give them a quick experience of what it might be like with your visit with them. Some of the things that I would put in the video is just a greeting, your ho ho ho, this is Santa George, and I am here for I can't do Santa, you get it, but quick list of things that you offer. Something else I've seen is, if you're a singer or if you like to read, you might do a brief song verse or just a line from a holiday book, kind of give them a little taste of what it's like whenever you visit their home. Just a little teaser, basically, and a little bit of what it's like to book you. This is another thing I saw often, were broken links. So on Gig Salad, you must have a YouTube or a Vimeo link to upload your videos. Sometimes those break, whether it's YouTube stops hosting them, or if someone else owned the video that you were sharing and they've taken it down. So maybe before the season starts, just scroll through your profile and make sure that you don't have this big gray ugly box showing on your profile, because it's kind of, I mean, it's not fun to look at, but it also might imply that you aren't paying attention to your profile, or maybe you're not going to even respond when the person reaches out, whenever you're kind of displaying stuff like that on the profile. Okay, so writing your overview. So a lot of people, when they first sign up for Gig Salad, because it's quite a few steps when you first sign up, they might just write a quick couple things and move on and think, oh, I'll come back to that later and fix it. Well, a lot of times they don't come back later and fix it. So it kind of stays with whatever they've put in there. So again, before the season starts, you might take another look at yours. Kind of the elevator pitch. And on Gig Salad, the first 15 words are going to be what show first if you don't have a review on your profile. So those are the most important ones. Of course, put the most important things first, but these are some of the things that I would advise including: how many years you've been a Santa, what type of visits you provide, if it's home, nursing home, daycare, corporate event, you know, all the different kinds of visits, what your clients can expect. So Santa will come in and pass out gifts to the children, or pass out candy canes, he'll sing a song, and then he'll say goodbye, and, you know, whatever it is that you kind of do, whatever your routine is, just give a brief overview. You might talk about your length of visit. I know a lot of Santas have a minimum of an hour visit, or at least charge for an hour, even if the visit isn't quite that long. You could include your hourly rate if you'd like. That's also an option. Just on your Gig Salad profile in general, you can add your rate, but you can also put it in your bio if you'd like. You might put your service area, if you service Chicago and the surrounding, or, you know, I'm willing to travel up to 3 hours, or whatever you might do, you can put that in there too. And then I think most importantly and most fun to read are the special things that you do that make you kind of stand out from the competition. So, are you bilingual? Do you know sign language? Do you specialize in special needs children? Or do you have a great baritone singing voice? Or do you hand make ornaments for the children? You know, whatever it is that you really love to do and really makes you stand out, definitely make sure you put that in your overview to catch that client's eye when they're looking through. So this is another great example of an overview. While I think this is really great, one thing that I would maybe do is his first line, looking for a real bearded Santa for your next event. That's a great opener, but on Gig Salad, we already know they're looking, so I would lose that line. I mean, save yourself however many words that is, 10, and jump right into why Santa Alex is really great. So maybe Santa Alex is a real bearded Santa who's jolly, outgoing, and loves children. He's also bilingual in English and Spanish. So I'd kind of rearrange just to get the most important things up first. I think the rest of it is great. So yeah, I think that's a great example of an overview. He's nailed what he needs to do to land that client. And so this Santa is kind of an example of, he probably wrote this when he was signing up and then didn't come back to it. So it just says to put a smile on children's faces. That's great. We would definitely want a little bit more. So if you were a client kind of looking through, Santa Alex would definitely grab your attention. Well, this Santa might, oh, he sounds nice, but what else does he do? So a couple of examples there. And as an aside, I really love helping Santas or anybody that needs help writing their bios. I know not everyone's a great writer. So if anybody ever wants edited or even type it all in a run-on sentence and wants me to chop it up and make it better, I'm always happy to do that. And our whole team is. So if anybody ever needs that, please reach out. This is what I do when I'm editing overviews. Definitely check for grammar and spelling. Have consistent spacing, which is sometimes I'll see a sentence and then they'll space a few times and start a new sentence. So just the basics are good to keep in mind here. Sometimes there's way too much information, so trimming it down to 1 to 2 paragraphs at most is best. And like we said, putting the most important information first. And be friendly and set the tone, of course. Another thing, I know it's really exciting to write in all caps and put a bunch of exclamation points, but sometimes that's a little jarring for your clients. So I personally would advise to avoid that, but I suppose if you really love it, you can go for it. Okay, so one really important thing for your profile is reviews, and I know that's important to almost every Santa I've ever talked to. And if you're just signing up, you might be wondering, how am I going to get reviews if I don't have any bookings yet? So Gig Salad offers some tools that we'll talk about, but reviews are definitely key to your profile. So we wrote an article recently called 4.95 is the new 5.0, because a lot of people are really hung up on the fact they didn't have a perfect 5.0 rating. But in fact, we found that that's not actually important. People really want authenticity. So don't get too hung up on the number. I mean, as you can see here, St. Pete Santa is awesome. He's at 4.69, but he's got 5 stars. He has 20 verified bookings. So don't get too stressed about the number. But you should be concerned with having reviews at all, because 93% of people say reviews influence their purchase decision. In the study and on Gig Salad, verified reviews carry more weight, meaning when you book on the site and then that person leaves a review, that's verified, and that means more to your upcoming clients and to Gig Salad. And then the last little stat, reviews labeled as verified increase the chances of purchase by 15%. So those verified reviews are really important to your profile. So again, if you haven't booked on anything on Gig Salad yet, you can still recruit some past client reviews to kind of help give an idea of what your past clients have experienced with you. And we give a couple tools on doing that, and I'll show you here. However, if you would like to land more of those verified reviews, of course, booking on Gig Salad is great. If you like to use your own contract system and you prefer to book off site, you can come back later and mark those gigs as booked, and that will in turn make that review verified too. So you don't lose out if you prefer to use your own contract system off the site. You can also import outside leads. So if you get a lead somewhere else and you want to book it on Gig Salad, we have that option too, using the Book Outside Gig tool. So those are a few ways to gain more reviews for your profile. And this is a little screenshot of what you'll see on your dashboard. So if you want to request some reviews from past clients, just you'll log in, then you'll click on reviews at the top, and it'll immediately open this screen for you where you can enter your client's name, their email address, a little message, and send it right from the dashboard. Or you can just copy the link, send it through Facebook, email, text, or however you want to send it. And that link will put them right on the correct page on your profile to leave a review. So pretty easy to get those. Okay, so another thing going, not just Santa's again, but performers in general, improving your responses to your clients is another way just to start the process with them as being great. So, and it also can help close bookings too. So once your profile's looking great, the leads will start coming in. So I wanted to talk about a few key tools that'll help you before we wrap up with the slides today. So I don't know how many of you used this last year. I think a lot of Santa started picking up steam and using it, but we launched a tool called Saved Messages and Saved Quotes. And Santas, of course, are fielding all kinds of leads all day long, and it can get overwhelming. So we created this tool to try and help you respond to your leads basically with one click. So if you go to your tools section, then you'll see these two tools, Saved Messages and Saved Quotes. So we'll kind of talk about what those are. So saved messages are basically templates that you can create. So whether you have a house party or a corporate event or whatever types of events you normally are getting leads for, I would suggest creating a few different messages for each of those types. Of course, keep it simple and friendly, avoid all caps and the exclamation points again. I've seen a lot of saved messages that are really long. So I know you want to get a lot of stuff in, but information overload is real. So just try and keep it short and friendly. And then a little sales tactic, of course, is ending with a question just to keep the conversation going. So you could ask for additional information like, would you like Santa to pass out gifts? Or you could ask for their approval. How does this package sound for your family? Just something to make them respond and keep it going. So the first, whenever you're going to create a saved message, you can do as many as you want to. You can title it whatever you'd like, put in the message that you'd like to say here. And I don't know how many of you have tried the short codes option, but this is a way to personalize your saved messages. So it'll automatically pull in information from your lead. That way you don't have to try and edit it every time. So if you just click on these little short codes and stick them in here, it'll pull all of that information for you and personalize it kind of in a quicker way than if you had to respond to each lead individually. And then saved quotes are similar. One thing with quotes that I've seen, don't use the quote to send a message. So you want your quote to actually be your contract. So you don't want in services to be provided to say something like, how many children will be at the event? I'd love to be there. You know, you don't want to use it as a message. So use the saved messages to work out all the details and then send the quote when you're actually ready to book. So be sure the services to be provided is literally what you're providing, an hour of Santa, he'll read and pass out gifts or, you know, whatever you're providing. Additional terms, that's where you can put, please provide Santa with a glass of water. If children are eating cookies, don't let them grab his beard or, you know, whatever your additional terms might be. But bottom line, this is your contract. It's not the place to send the message.
I think some of the Santas like this contract because it's asking for a fee of $1,500.
Yeah, yeah. In a perfect world, every Santa would get $1,500 an hour. Okay, so this is just a quick screenshot of responding to the lead. So if you're wanting to use one of your saved messages, you'll click on send your client a message, click the little drop down, and then choose whatever saved messages you're wanting to use. And you can always edit it. So if you were to populate one of your saved message and you saw something you needed to change, you can edit that before you hit send. Or if you type out a really great original message and you decide, hey, that's a great saved message, you can just click the little box that says save this message and you can use it again later. And same thing with the quote, you just click send a quote, then you'll see your drop down there for your saved quotes. And again, I would advise taking a little time before the season. I mean, you guys know what kind of events you're getting booked for. So just write out a few and save yourself some time when the leads start coming in. And the thing we always say at Gig Salad is you get back what you put into your Gig Salad profile. So if you're putting 3 words in your overview and 1 blurry picture, and then you're calling upset that you're not getting any leads, the first thing I'm going to do is go over your profile with you and say, well, here's your 1 blurry picture and you don't have any information. So just take some time. It's an investment. I mean, you've paid for the membership. Take some time and polish things up.
Before we move on, Santa George Campbell had a question about the messages.
Sure.
Is there a limit to the number of messages you can put in there?
No, nope, do as many as you'd like. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna do these little real-time profile consultations with the brave Santas. Hold on one. Oh, and I'll come back to this screen. I have a coupon for you guys, but I'll come back to that. Let me just go back to the profiles really quick. Okay, let me get in here. Okay, so one of our brave, can everybody still see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, okay. All right, so the first brave soul was Stocking Stuffer Steve, and I was surprised that he wanted a profile consultation because I think his profile is really great. He has really great photos, really interesting attire, so that's kind of the thing that stuck out to me about him. His costumes are really intricate and really interesting. So he has really great pictures. I'll kind of look through those for you. Really beautiful Mrs. Claus. So I think everything about this profile is great. He's got 12 reviews, which is awesome. He's a top performer, which means he responds to his leads really quickly. He books at least once every 3 months, so he's doing a really great job. As far as his overview, I know it's probably really small for you guys to read, but I'll read a little bit of it. Stocking Stuffer Steve is a jolly old Santa whose natural white beard and bouncing belly brings a smile to young and old. So that's really great, really catchy. I think everything's good. He doesn't have any typos, great spacing. He talks about what types of events he does. Home visits, corporate functions, photos, parades, etc. Yeah, I think everything about this is really great. I wish I had more advice for you, Santa Steve, but I think it's great. And if you're online right now, if you have any specific questions, you might chat that to me. Let's see. The next one is Santa Jim Kelly. I think he's online. Yep, I see him. So again, he was one that bravely volunteered, and I think that his is really good too. He has really good photos. They're very clear. At first, this one, I thought it was maybe blurry or something was wrong with it, but then I realized it was Santa disappearing, so I get it now. And the caption on that helped. So yeah, another version of Santa. I know Christmas in July is a big thing, so adding another fun costume is good in there. Santa selfie, really cute. Old World Santa, a really good picture there too. I mean, really, again, this one's really good. He also has 19 reviews, talks about being real bearded. Let's see, yep, talks about sign language. Yeah, I think the only thing I would suggest here, Santa Jim, is a little more enthusiasm or excitement in your overview, maybe a couple exclamation points sprinkled in there. But really, everything's good. You've got really great reviews. Everything, your video isn't broken. So good job, Santa Jim. Okay, and the last one was Santa Ted. And there are a few things with this one that I would want to point out. So I know that photo uploading and technology and stuff can be a little bit difficult, but some of the pictures here, it kind of looks like a picture of a picture, and it kind of loses its quality. So as I'm kind of scrolling, you can see, I can tell what it is, but I can't see a ton of detail, and it's a little bit, the quality is a little bit lost. So if there's any way that you can upload those picture files instead of taking a photo of the photo, that might be a better way to go with that one. And then let's see here. So there's some all caps here, which again is something I personally wouldn't do, but you know, that's up to you. And Santa Ted and I actually kind of talked about his bio earlier. So it was a little bit longer before, and I kind of gave him the same advice, rearranging stuff and trying to put the most important things first. So he kind of did that a little bit here. So yeah, I think there's a lot of information in the overview. I think with this one, we could rearrange it a little more and say, maybe start with Santa and Mrs. Claus have been visiting with children for the last 35 years. Talk a little bit more about what it's like when you come to visit. I don't believe Santa Ted is a real bearded Santa, but if I'm mistaken, I'm sorry. Sometimes that's important to say. Some clients prefer, some don't, but you might point it out just so they're not expecting that that's a real beard, and then it's not. It might be a good idea to mention that. Let's see. So yeah, he looks like he's recruited a review because he's a fairly new Santa. So that's an example of what it would look like for a past client to review you. But yeah, I think overall it's a great start. There's some room for improvement. And Santa Ted, if you're listening, I'm happy to have another call or email chat if you want to talk more specifics on that one. So those are the 3 Santas that volunteered. But if anybody has specific questions or feedback, I'm happy to go back over some things.
Okay, and remember, you can open your microphones up if you want. I muted them on this end, but you can unmute if you'd like.
And I'm just going to put this back up for a moment.
Oh, the important good stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So there's, there's some contact information. I'm always happy to field questions by email or phone. So there's my direct email if you ever have questions. And then if you're looking to upgrade, there's a little coupon for you too for 50% off. So I'll leave that up for a little bit while if anybody had any other questions or anything like that I can help with.
Yeah, and if anybody does forget her email address, which is real easy, Megan@gigsalad.com, just send me an email and I'll forward it to Megan.
Yes.
Any questions from anyone? You mean everybody knows everything? You guys have to unmute your buttons, though. You have to do that yourself. I can't do that for you.
Hello, Megan. This is Santa Bob. And one of the things that I was kind of curious about is that you guys have something where you feature virtual visits.
Yes. Yeah, so you can actually find that. Oh, let's see here. Let me share my screen again really quick so I can show you. Santa, well, let's see. I would need to log in as somebody.
She does this well, doesn't she?
Hold on 1 second. Let me just pull up a fake profile here. I don't want to give anybody's secrets away. Okay.
Show us the cool little badges.
Okay, so if you're logged in, if you click on Edit Promo Kit, oh, first, can you see this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you click on Edit Promo Kit here at the top, and then over here on the left, click on General Info, and scroll down just a bit, you'll see Virtual Services right here. You just click Edit, and then yes, I offer virtual services, and save it, and you'll get a little banner. Let's see if any of these guys have one.
You know what, Maggie, you can look at mine if you'd like and see if that's on there.
Sure. Actually, here's a good one. Can you guys see North Texas Santa,
Yeah.
George?
Hi, Henny.
So see the little badge here where it says offers virtual services. So that's what it'll display. And then if the person were to click on your profile, you'll see a little banner here at the top.
There
Does
it
that make
is.
sense?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
And also, if you do that, you can get little badges. I don't know if you want to get into it, Megan, where that
Sure.
you can put on your website. And if someone goes to your personal website and they click the offer virtual services through Gig Salad, it'll come right back to your page, and they can then book you for a virtual gig.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I don't know how many of you guys have your own website, but yeah, that's definitely something. So if you're back on the screen, there's a little blue link that says you can add this badge to your personal website. So if you click that, it'll bring you to
Ooh.
several badges, but this is the one we were just talking about, the virtual services. And then that widget is what we call it. You can, when they click it, it'll bring them right to your Gig Salad profile to send you a quote and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of them in there if you have your own website and you want to kind of display your Gig Salad stuff.
By the way, just a unique thing about the badges. These are nice when you have your own website and you can put a badge on your website. It sends the customer to Gig Salad to your personal page to book you.
Directly.
So they're handling all that paperwork on the Gig Salad site, and you don't have to handle it all with the phone call the customer has until they actually, fill out the information and the date and the time and everything else. Then you're following up with the customer.
And on that note, I talked a little bit about it earlier, was the book outside gig tool. So if you're getting leads from Facebook or wherever, if you come to the tools section again, and then over here on the left, book outside gig, you can just input your client's information. And this is basically a quote. So put it all in here, the deposit, your fee, all of that, and then hit send, and it'll automatically bring, whenever they respond to it, it'll start a new message here in your inbox. So you can keep all of your bookings on Gig Salad if you wanted to, just using that book outside gig tool. And again, if that client leaves a review, then that becomes verified because it was done through the platform. So bonus there as well.
Any other questions out there?
Megan, you can save your messages, but if you have messages you want to delete, that you auto send to people,
Mm-hmm.
is there a button to get rid of the old messages?
Yeah, so if you go to your tools again, and then you'll see your manage saved messages. If you click manage saved messages, well, shoot, this person doesn't have one, but you would open it, and then you can, let's see, I'm trying to think if George, do you care?
I can go ahead and tell a little bit about that. Sure. If you open mine, you're going to see there are 3 or 4 different things. I have declines where, someone, I've already booked that time and someone wants it on Gig Salad. Well, I have to send them a message. I don't want to have to type it out every time. So I have one written up that says, hey, I would love to be at your event, but I've got another one there booked. Is there another time that we could rebook? And by putting that in there, now I don't have to type it out every time. I just go up there and I say, decline polite. I have also an unpolite polite. No, but you can have a decline. You can have different declines with different messages, and that way they can have a real clear understanding of what's going on. I want to do it, but we can't do it at this time. Is there another time? And you'd be surprised. That has gotten me from one booking that they couldn't do to a booking with them that I could. So just
great.
simple, and one click. That's all it was. Saving that, decline polite. Boom.
No, my question was, for your saved messages that you have, if you want to get rid of one, not how do you save those messages, but like if you've got 5 saved messages and you decide you either want to get rid of one or change it, is there a way to just delete it so you only have 4 saved messages instead of 5?
Yeah, there is. Unfortunately, this test promo kit I'm logged into doesn't have any, so I can't show you. But basically, you'd come to this screen, you would open the one that you don't want, and then down here on the bottom right, you would see delete the message, so you can just delete it out of there. I wish I could show you. If you need help with that later and you want me to kind of walk through it, just send me an email or give us a call and we'll walk you through it. But this is the screen that you'll come to, and you'll select the message that you're wanting to edit or delete and then go from there.
And the nice thing about the saved messages is they only go to the customer when you send it to them. So even if you've got a message that you don't use anymore, unless you send it to them by mistake or something like that, it's not a problem. It's still there. But then, but if you do decide you got to get rid of it, get rid of it. Don't leave it in there and be like me, who sometimes forgets and clicks the wrong thing.
Yeah, and sometimes people are, you might write out a message and then accidentally save one that isn't necessarily a template. So I've seen that before, but yeah, you can delete those out.
Yeah, well, I have two problems: fat fingers, and I think my fingers are dyslexic.
Oh man.
On the outside quotes, if we fill out the outside quote and sent it to them, then they automatically come through Gig Salad. They pay through Gig Salad. We get paid through Gig Salad. Everything's handled.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
So that saves us having to send separate contracts out and everything else. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
I think I answered that for you too, Bernard. I put in an agreement based on things I've learned from Tim that says, here's some of the things I'm going to have, because they don't have in there that you want to have, plus or minus 68 degrees or, whatever it is, or you want drinks or a drink of water or whatever. You want to make sure that stuff's in there as well. And so I send out, because that's the cool thing, you can send up to 10 attachments. With your quote, you can put in a COVID. I now have a COVID waiver. We talked about that with Lone Star Santas last week. A COVID waiver that says, if you catch COVID, it's not my problem. I basically borrowed the one from Disney World because I figured they paid $1 million to those attorneys, or at least Mickey did, to those attorneys to make sure that is there. So every person that I'm booking now gets a little disclaimer about COVID that says, we can't be held responsible. And I understand now there's federal legislation coming in that's going to say the same thing. So that's pretty cool. But the whole idea is just to make sure everybody understands going in. And I also have a whole thing about all the procedures that we may take. Like we may move this whole show outside. If the weather's nice, we're lucky here in Texas, but we may move the whole show outside and that's included in my response once they book me, when I send them this agreement.
So you said with your COVID letter that if COVID is affected either the customer or you, the gig's over, there's no money transactions.
Oh, no. It's just a matter of I can't be held responsible for anybody who catches COVID, including me.
Oh, okay.
Which is what they say at Disney World. It's exactly the words that they used for Disney World.
Can't be held responsible.
Well, you can't be held responsible. And interestingly enough, if you buy a ticket to go to Disney World, that agreement comes with the contract. Literally, when you pay for it in the fine print, it says all of that. And that's where I extracted it from. So, but the thing is, someone paid an attorney a lot of money to make sure that was at least there. And now we see that that's actually coming out. I've talked with a lot of different folks about it. It's pretty interesting, but another subject for another time.
Another day. And the insurance companies that give us our liability insurance, they have for years had clauses in those contracts. They do not cover, liability insurance does not cover a customer or anybody should someone get an illness from the Santa or Mrs. Claus or something like that. In other words, if you come there and you've got a cold and somebody catches a cold, they can't say you gave them the cold and try to sue you. It's not covered by the insurance company.
Right.
They could try to sue you, but it's not covered by the insurance company.
Yeah, it's something to think about. Anyway, but you can attach. The cool part is in Gig Salad, you can attach all these things and make it work. So
right, we're taking away from Megan's time here.
Sorry.
I'm just here to answer questions at this point. But I know COVID is at the forefront of everybody's minds, and if I could maybe touch on that for just a minute. I know, we like to think that we're industry experts, and I wish I had the answers for what this season will bring. A lot of Santas want to know what it's going to bring. And I mean, as far as our numbers go, we're at about 60% at what we were this time last year as far as bookings. So honestly, that's a bit of a miracle, whatever you consider what some of the, a lot of performers and agencies and all kinds of venues and lots of places are going under. So we're really excited that we're still here, and even as high as we are, 60% of our bookings. So we're very optimistic. We're trying our best to kind of shift to the virtual stuff if that is what is going to happen. It just changes weekly. So it's hard to know what will be the next trend. We are working on lowering the minimum quote that you can send on Gig Salad. That way, if you're doing virtual visits and you want them to be less, we're trying to get that launched fairly quickly so that you don't, I think some Santas were doing as low as $25 for a quick FaceTime phone call. And so that's been a request that we've gotten from Santas. And so just know that we are working on that, and hopefully we'll be launching that soon. But yeah, if you guys ever have information that you think would be helpful for me to write a blog post about, or, I can crank those out pretty quickly, and we want to be as helpful to the community as possible. So I kind of looked at Santa Tim's Facebook today and saw the banners, the 6-foot banners, and listened to you guys kind of talk about some of the things that you're doing. So, I mean, if there's any types of topics that you'd like us to cover, please reach out with that too. And we're doing our best to keep up with these unprecedented times, to use the phrase.
By the way, Gig Salad has on their website, when you go to it, if you click on the link for blog, and Megan and another fellow that I like some of his blogs, Brian Jenkins, they've written a lot of different blogs, put things out there with lots of information. So even if you don't get to connect with Megan, you can go read these blogs or listen to these blogs and get information that will help you upgrade and set your site up and give you more information. And I think that's what we all want to have, is we're all hungry for any type of information that will help us improve our chances of getting bookings this holiday season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, if you guys have topics you'd like to see covered, we're more than happy to explore those and take that feedback. So.
Any questions out there for anybody? It doesn't have to be about your, this subject of tonight. It could be about anything about Gig Salad.
Yeah.
Megan will be glad to answer your question.
Megan, Santa Patrick Kelly talking now. I've been a Santa for about 7 years, but I've had other experiences in doing and meeting the public after other venues of volunteer work. And so that'll be the first time I'm investigating, and Santa Tim's been, and George and other people letting us learn about what's out there nowadays, so we make adjustments. So it's kind of new to me to say, okay, besides having a profile of Lone Star Santa's organization, now I'm trying to think about using your particular type of service, and so it's kind of new. As we develop our page through you, I don't have my own website. I don't have certain other things, and so as we're putting something together, I guess we have y'all to help us along through it before we finally hit the button. I'm available.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, first of all, you don't have to have your own website, so don't worry about that.
Right.
This can kind of serve as your website, especially because you can share your media, get your leads, take your payments, all of that on the profile. So I wouldn't worry too much about the fact you don't have your own website. But yeah, unfortunately, you can't set up the profile and then hit a publish button. So you'll kind of want to have some of your stuff ready as you're walking through it. But that being said, once you've kind of got the basics in there, we're happy to walk through it with you and kind of show you the features, kind of walk through the tools, because there's a lot to it. I mean, I've been here almost 8 years, and I still am like, what? We have that? I didn't know we had that. So there's always something kind of new to learn. But yeah, our team's always happy to help.
Megan, is there a way to put that button on the Facebook page?
Put a button. Which button?
You know, the
Badges.
button that, you know, or one of the banner buttons, you know.
Oh, no,
That would
unfortunately.
be nice if we could get, you know, because a lot of the Santas don't have websites, but they have wonderful Facebook pages.
They
And a lot of
could.
times they give out their Facebook, you know, that's the, economy website.
Yeah.
For many Santas.
You could use your Gig Salad URL, the one there at the top, as your Facebook will ask for your personal website link. So you could just use your Gig Salad link there, and it would link directly to your profile.
Okay.
But that badge specifically is like code based for web design, so it wouldn't work with Facebook.
Yeah. Well, maybe there's a way. We'll have to look into that more. See if we come up with a simple instructions on how to do that.
I have a question for Miss Megan, if it's possible.
Yes.
Hi there, this is Santa Claus Stephen Kern in Nashville, Tennessee. And my question is, my Gig Salad membership renews in January. And thank you so much for that 50% discount you were offering us. How long is that coupon valid?
Oh, probably forever.
I can handle that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
The official expiration date is the end of the year, but I mean, I usually just keep extending it because why not?
Yeah, Megan, we had one other question from Santa Bernard. He wondered, do we need to do our own contract if we book through Gig Salad? In other words, a separate contract outside of the Gig Salad agreement.
I mean, you can use the Gig Salad quote that we were talking about earlier. That's kind of set up as a contract where you can put your deposit, put your total fee, how many hours you're performing, your services, and your additional terms. So the idea of that is to be a contract. But like Santa George was saying, if you have your own that you want them to sign as well, you can attach that too. But we kind of look at the quote as your contract.
I use that space to make sure that it's like a contract and that it says everything that I'm going to do. So I have those saved on my computer or in a message, and I can place them in real quickly. That way it's like not only the quote, but it's the services and any special needs, have them all there ready. Because the faster you go with them, I mean, I've waited 10 minutes on a Gig Salad quote and lost it.
Yeah, it's usually the first person that they hear from is the one they kind of go with. It's like they immediately feel loyal to that person. It's kind of funny. But yeah, you could, rather than, I don't know if you meant you were saving those like on a Word document or something where you're copying and pasting, but that's when you could go into the tools and create some saved quotes, copy and paste that one time, and then you've got them all in there where you can respond with one click instead of.
I try to fine tune them out on the Word document.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
And I have a lot, I think I've like, maybe I have to start using that delete button.
Brevity is key, my friends.
Yes.
The key thing is to get is as soon as you get a hit, you get a quote to them, and you can follow up later if you have to get a little more of a contract to them, but you need to get that quote to them immediately.
Right away.
And that's where having those prepared messages are important, because if you need to get them some fine print with that quote, that's where you put it, you know, and then later on you can follow up with more details as regards to, you know, what kind of temperature you should have, advice to the client, telling them not to put you in front of a fireplace with a roaring fire, things like that.
I will say, remember when you're sending a quote, that person can book you. So if you're not sure if the date will quite work or you haven't checked your calendar yet, you might just send a message, and you can always include pricing in the message if you're just wanting to make sure they get that pricing first. But remember, when you send the quote, they get a big blue button that says book now. So you don't want to send that if you're not actually ready to be booked right away, because they'll have that option.
By the way, that message that goes to them, even though if you don't know you're available at that particular time, your message immediately say, wow, I would love to do your party. I'm not at my calendar right now.
Let the
Can you
sleigh.
give me, a little time to get to my calendar and check with you? But let them know that you're excited about it.
Right. And I thought of one more thing that I want to make sure I talk about while I've got all you guys here. I'm sure a lot of you were getting instant booking requests last year, and I know sometimes those are a little confusing. Basically, I just want to tell you what those are really quick. We have a new feature. We launched it last season, or maybe the season before now. Rather than somebody going through and trying to find a Santa, they just want us to pick a 5-star Santa for them. So we give them a price, they accept it, and then we send it to a few 5-star hand-picked Santas in the area. So if you get a message for that saying you have an instant booking request, you'll see how much you're getting paid for it. You'll get half of that payment right away. But do not accept that unless you're absolutely sure that you can take it. Because if you do, and then you say, oh, I didn't know what that was, and we prompt you a couple times, are you sure you can do this? Mm-hmm. If you take it and then tell us, oh, I double booked myself, it's quite the disappointing experience to go back to that client that's really just wanting a concierge, white glove, hands-off experience. So just a word of caution.
Megan, can you put up your big screen again with your email and everything?
Oh, yes.
Just in case anybody didn't get to write it down.
Yeah, I got everything but that.
Oh, yeah. Here you go.
Screenshot.
Oh, lost it.
Ooh.
Yeah, there we go. The big one.
Sorry, I was making it bigger.
Yeah, one of the.
I just got a message giving me a 60% discount offer.
Oh,
Can I add that with my 50%?
Yeah. You get 10% back.
All right.
Yeah, I forgot we just started a sale. So yeah, you're welcome to use whatever is best for you.
Okay. So what is that code?
That one, fall 60, I think. Let me check.
Yeah. Yeah, I opened it up and saved it. I still got it.
Okay, good.
Megan, that's good for renewals too. So if we want to renew, take advantage of that and add to our memberships. Yay.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so the renewal is 60% right now, but if you're new, it's a 50 clause.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're a new Santa, and again, if you're new and you just need help getting set up, of course, feel free to reach out and we'll walk you through that. Santa Patrick talking to you.
I know. I got a question for you real quick is the fact that how far in advance can somebody renew? Like some people talk about January, I renew. Can they renew in October for next year?
Yeah, anytime we have a sale. Oh, and that's one more thing I'll mention really quick. If a lot of Santas will freeze their membership at the end of the season, so you could buy a year right now for half off. And if you only need it from September to December, freeze it, and then you've got 9 months left on your membership. And then use it again. So you can technically use it for 4 seasons if you bought 1 year, if you can use it.
Okay.
Well, Megan, we want to thank you for being with us this evening, for all the information you've given us, and for also being available whenever we want to call you and to help us out on these websites. Everybody give her a big round of applause. See how quiet they are?
They are so quiet.
Again, thank you, Megan. And I know we've had you, helping out with all the questions and everything. And I'm looking for my closing right now. I've got notes here, and I had a little bit of a closing. There we go. And because this kind of wraps up all the webinars I've been doing, the 15. Like I said, I will do probably 1 or 2 more. Definitely going to do one on posing techniques for the COVID-19, and it'll cover all the examples like George has talked about, the banners and things like that. We'll talk about, again, George and his plastic box.
Yeah.
Is that the box behind you?
No. It's Those are interesting. Yeah, there's two. There's the shield, and then there's what we call the crystal sleigh, which they probably aren't producing.
Yeah,
because it was a
Bass Pro
plastic-
Shops, I understand, is putting the plastic boxes in all 170 locations.
Yeah,
Again, it's going to be used by a lot of different people. I know that some of the Simon malls have actually built the company that does a lot of the banking walls and stuff like that is putting in these boxes, which are 4 foot by 8 foot and 6 foot by 8 foot plexiglass walls, which Santa will be behind and the kids will be in front. So there'll be things like that. But we'll also talk about different types of poses, because when you are behind those glass panels, your poses have to be a little different than what you normally do. So we'll cover it at that time. Again, I want to thank Megan Price for co-hosting tonight's webinar. And should you have any questions, again, you can contact her. She had her email address there. And if you forget that email address or can't find it, send me an email. I'll forward it right down to Megan, and she will get back to you. She's very diligent about helping all the Santas in the Santa community. Again, everybody, thank you so much for being with me this evening, being with Megan and I. And I wish you all that you have the Christmas spirit every day.